What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Backlash Podcast. It's been a hot minute since we made a podcast. Seems like everything goes wrong. I dropped my camera in the bottom of the lake, and I was in the process of ordering a new one, waiting for it to ship out. And Tate and I's schedules are always fun to try to work out. But I'm using the new camera on my end, and Tate's currently in his car because he's having his niece's birthday party. So good little scenery if you guys are watching that on YouTube. But we have a range of topics today. If you guys are listening to us on Apple Podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review, and we will read it.
Only 5 stars.
We'll read a 4-star too, but
okay.
We prefer a 5-star. Right. Do you know if we have any more reviews? Probably not.
I haven't checked, to be honest.
We don't have anything ready off the cuff, so I guess we'll go ahead and dive into the podcast.
Yeah, we're just fortunate to be here, to be honest with you. Like Marshall was saying, we've had a tough time getting things together, but we're going to make it happen today. Today's video, today's podcast, I'm pretty pumped about it. It's the first time we've ever done this type of thing, and we're not the first ones that's ever done it. We have to give a little credit, not even in the fishing space. We're doing a underrated, overrated segment, which the first person I've ever heard do that was Alex Rudd Fishing, who has a great podcast, by the way. 10 out of 10 recommend him. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Underrated, overrated. I have a few topics that we're going to go through and talk about. But first, I mean, how's fishing been for you lately?
It's been pretty good. I haven't really done any lake or pond fishing very much. Mainly been hitting the rivers. But the rivers are always good in the summer. Always.
Oh yeah, they're always good. Around here, you can catch them in the river anytime. I've been on the big crappie dangle lately. I'm all about crappie right now. Yeah, I've kind of switched things up a little bit. Not been bass fishing that much really in the last couple weeks, but I'm all about the slabs right now. So that's kind of my new thing.
I don't know if go ahead.
I'm gonna be hitting it pretty hard the rest of the year. You can go ahead.
Yeah, you are a pretty good little crappie fisherman. I'm not very skilled at it myself. I only catch them when they're spawning, and that's it.
Well, I don't know that I would say I'm good, but
better than me.
I also have Livescope, so that helps. That helps a lot. But
we'll definitely talk about that on the
podcast. Well, actually, just to lead off right here, let's just talk about Livescope. Underrated, overrated, Livescope. I'm gonna let you give your take. As someone that don't have Livescope.
Someone that doesn't have it, I'm going to say it's underrated because I think the thing about it is it could be overrated in the sense of if you don't know how to use it, it's not going to help you at all. Like if you just gave me Livescope, I don't think I would be able to just target fish. But if you have that thing dialed in and you know what you're looking at, you know what you're doing, I feel like it is an extremely underrated tool in that sense. So I feel like as long as you know what you're doing, it's underrated. Somebody like me just talking about it.
Okay. Well, on the other side, I have Livescope. I spent a lot of money on Livescope, and I will have to say it is overrated. And here's why. I was pretty dialed in with my 2D sonar before. The thing is, Livescope kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out. You know, sometimes you'll be I like to do a lot of vertical fishing. That's how I prefer to catch them. And when you're over top of them and you're just seeing lines across the screen, you don't really know if it's a fish until, you know, there's some kind of like vertical movement of some kind. Well, Livescope completely takes that out of the game. And then when the vertical bite is not on, you can kind of get away from them and still, you know, it's forward facing sonar and still kind of see what the heck's going on. So I'm going to say it's overrated. I wouldn't almost say that, but I definitely think I have to be the devil's advocate a little bit here, as I have a stroke here and can't speak. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, a great tool. And you know, people say, is it cheating? You know, I really, especially like I said, I'm doing crappie fishing lately. It does not cause fish to bite at all. I mean, I could find crappie before with down scan, side scan, all that stuff. And I mean, I would say that my catches have increased probably as a result of it, but probably not the amount that they should given the amount of money that I've invested into it. Does that make sense?
Are you like a pro with it?
Yeah.
Though?
You know, I'm getting better with it. I've been playing with my settings, and I've figured out a few settings that I like now. I've always had trouble kind of keeping my bait on the screen.
Right.
But I've kind of got that dialed in. I've increased my gain sensitivity a little bit, and that's helped a little bit. So, you know, I'm not going to say it's overrated by much, but I do think it is overrated. I don't think it's like the big game changer that everyone thinks it is. It does take out a little bit of the guesswork, though. But if you were good enough before with 2D sonar, like I almost feel like that I was getting pretty good with it, then I don't think it's that much of a game changer. It's a game changer, but not that much. So that's my take on it. But the next one, let me pull up the list here. I have a big list. Somebody's revving an engine outside here. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the noises.
I didn't hear it, so.
Okay, I got some random ones. Here too. Black and blue jigs. And what you start off? Black and blue jigs.
I am a big proponent of black and blue. I like it in clear water. I really prefer it in muddy water. Love it.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I haven't done too much experimenting to just say that you could probably just throw a solid black jig and it probably just as good. Black and blue's probably just kind of some hype behind it.
You've done a little studying on the colors too, like what bass can see.
Yeah, I did a TikTok on that. They only have, humans have 3 cones in our eyes. We can see a pretty big range of colors, and bass only have 2. So they still see color like deer. You know, deer, like they see blue really good, so you don't want to wear blue deer hunting. But like things like green, even the orange vest, you know, you would think they'd be able to see it, and they really don't. So bass are kind of like that in the sense of they see greens and yellows really good. Green apparently is like their number one thing they can see. And blue,
green pumpkin.
Blue is at the, like they still see it to an extent, but not as good as a green, yellow, or a red. And all those like purples and weird colors in between, they aren't really seeing. And I, as a colorblind man myself, sometimes you have to explain this to people. Like, it's not that I see black and white and gray. It's that, like, I'll see brown and it looks green. And I'll see, you know, yellow and it looks green. Like, just a lot of things look green to me. So it's they're still going to see a color. They're just not seeing what you think they're seeing, per se. So
okay.
I think there's
but
too much
hype. How do you know it's green?
Because there's always somebody that's like, that's green. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Usually that's how it happens.
Okay. Have you ever wondered if everybody's just messing with you?
It very well could be. And here's another theory of mine.
That'd be terrible.
Here's another theory of mine. What if we all see different colors, but we've always associated with what people tell us that color is as the name blue?
Yes. You know, I was asking this question. I saw this question on TikTok not too long ago. It was a different podcast. I was asking this question 5 years ago. What if what I perceive as blue is what you have been calling red your entire life? You know what I mean? So, like, I'm over here seeing a rainbow, and y'all don't even, like, y'all seeing something completely different, but we've called them those names. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff is, you know, it's crazy. But, so a black and blue jig, when a bass sees it, it's probably just different shades of
it would
black
just be
gray,
like,
you know,
it'd be more of like a black, and then they would see a lighter color shade, but they're not really going to see that bright blue. So and that's and I mean, I would say that's pretty natural. I mean, most things are a couple different shades. So what's your final verdict there with all that said? I love a black and blue jig. I'm going to say underrated.
It's a tough one. Okay.
I don't really know. Is there a lot of hype around black and blue, or no?
There is around here. That I was kind of anxious to see what you had to say. Black and blue around here, I would say if you went to any bass fisherman's boat right now, and they have, assuming they have stuff tied on, I would say probably 45 to 50% have a black and blue jig on right now, which I think is a lot. I think that's a lot. So, yeah, black and blue around here is huge.
Okay.
Like a lot of times black and blue is sold out. If you're not, I mean, if it's like, you know, tackle's been kind of tough to come by here in the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's up with that, if there's some kind of shortage or if it's gas price thing or what.
I will say this.
Black and blue sold.
Black and blue works great for jigs, but I don't like it on pretty much anything else. Like a black and blue spinnerbait, trash. I would rather have chartreuse or white any day of the week.
See, I have to disagree with you on that one. I like a black and blue or just a straight black.
But you like a black and blue spinnerbait more than a white and chartreuse?
If I had to pick one, probably not. No.
Okay.
But I do like it. It's my late evening, early morning go-to though.
What about a black and blue?
It's more than white. I don't usually throw those.
See, so
honestly.
it's just a jig thing. It's just a jig thing.
Yeah, and bladed jigs, because that's my number one color for bladed jigs.
It's pretty good on a bladed jig.
So
yeah,
but I would probably also say underrated. I just feel, I don't know, I've just caught so many fish with black and blue, not just black and blue jigs. I would say another one is a Senko, like a lunker log, like a black and blue. I've caught a lot on that. When the water's got a little stain to it, you know, and they're not being a little finicky, then a little black and blue Senko get her done. But yeah, so I'm gonna say underrated as well.
It's just underrated.
Do you have another topic?
It works no matter what. At the end of the day, it works.
It does. And I'm losing a little lighting here, so apologize for that, but it is what it is. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. I don't know how you feel about these. We call them Vienna around here, but they're pronounced Vienna sausages. As a boat snack. As a boat snack. Underrated or overrated? I'll go first on this one. I'm going to say they are drastically underrated. And I'm surprised that, you know, I refer to them sometimes in TikToks because I just thought they were a staple. And apparently not everybody uses them as a boat snack. And I feel like they're the number one boat snack. So I'm going to say they're underrated. Because, I mean, a good meaty snack that you don't have to worry, you know, you can just put it in the cooler or just leave it out in the sun, whatever. I actually don't like it cold because the slime gets all snotty in there. But yeah, I'm going to say underrated. My go-to.
I'm going to 100% agree with you. I grew up eating nothing but Vienna sausages and saltine soda crackers with them. Usually I'd make a little Vienna sausage sandwich out of the soda cracker. And I've ate them all. The original,
potted meat,
barbecue, spicy, smoked. I've ate every Vienna sausage you can find on the market. The barbecue are my favorite.
That's it. Really, I like the OG ones. I like the original. I'm gonna turn that light on. I don't know how it looks on YouTube, but
all right.
But yeah, I like the original.
And there's only one way.
But I will say
there's only one way to eat them. If you don't open the can, eat the middle one first, and then go around, you're doing it wrong. That's the only way to do it.
That's it. I didn't know there was any other way. I thought that was the only way to do it. But I will say this: since I've had COVID, and that was back in October, my taste has changed a little bit. And for probably 2 months afterwards, I could not eat them. And it was a tough 2 months because that's my go-to, not only boat snack, but that's like my midday or even late night snack. Like you get up and you just need something to like, just, you know, kill the taste for something salty in your mouth. I mean, that is a go-to. So yeah, so that really hurt for a couple months afterwards. But I think I'm getting back to normal now because I'm still liking them. But yeah, a classic boat snack. If you've never tried them before, they should give me a code. There should be a code Tate for Vienna sausages, but there's not. But anyway, I still promote them. We approve that message. They are cheap.
Like you said, you don't need a refrigerator. They can just stay good all day long. I mean, you don't want to be snacking on chips all day. Like you want, like you said, some meat. You know, what's in it?
That's facts.
We're not going to read the ingredients. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. Potted meat's also a good one. I don't usually use
That's
it on the
another good
boat,
one.
but same family there. Same family there. Saltine crackers,
Have
you know. Let's move on to the
Okay.
next topic.
I
What
was
you
gonna say,
saying?
have you ever heard anybody call them Wiener schnitzels?
Beaners? I have never. What's a
That's
schnitzel?
just how you say it in German. That's like a German way of saying like hot dog type, like
Oh.
Wiener schnitzel. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like something Germans would say. Schnitzel,
Yeah.
whatever. Wiener?
Yeah, it's like Wiener.
Oh yeah, because Wiener, I got you, Wiener. I had a German waitress at a Waffle House one time, and we still kind of, I don't want to say make fun of her, but she said, "Welcome to Waffle House." It's kind of funny. I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. Anyway, all right, on to the next one. Scent on baits. Garlic scent, slanch sauce even, I guess we could say. It's not really garlicky. I'll tell you what, slanch sauce on Guggen baits slaps pretty hard. When you're hungry and going to bite off the end of a plastic, tastes really good. They should make candy. But scent on baits, underrated or overrated?
I'm gonna say overrated, but I do
Okay.
prefer my baits to have scent. But I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Zoom worms. Them things come out smelling like straight plastic. And you will slay fish
do.
on Zoom worms all day long. Now, at the
You
end of
will?
the day, where the scent comes in is how long the fish is going to hang on to the bait. Now, if you're having some type of bait where you feel the bite, you set the hook, just great. Sometimes you might need something where they need to hang on to the bait a little bit longer if they're acting real finicky or in a certain,
That's true. A big worm,
yeah,
maybe.
just sometimes,
You know, make them eat it a little
sometimes
more.
fish just kind of, on days where they don't really, they're kind of nipping it, like you're tearing a lot of
Yeah.
worms. Those are the type of days I prefer to have scent because they're usually gonna like almost taste it and engulf it a little bit better than other days. And then some days
Sure.
they'll just engulf the straight plastic tasting Zoom worm. But
Okay.
I'm gonna say
So you said
I said
underrated?
overrated, but I still prefer
Over.
because I feel like everybody has like garlic scent in their bag, spray scent. Like everybody's buying baits with scent on it. I feel like
They are.
they're thinking about it a little too hard. But that's just me. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I was also going to side with you in overrated, but your little speech there, I think, drove me back to underrated. I'm going to say underrated. And here's my thinking on this. I also think that color, just in general, of baits is underrated, and I think color for the longest time has been overrated. And here's my reason why. With the advancements in technology, right? The biggest thing, I would say 75% of the battle is finding the fish, right? And maybe even more than that, maybe 85%. And then the next part is putting a bait in front of their face that they're going to eat. That's when color comes in. That's when size comes in. That's when scent comes in. Well, I think that now more people are finding fish. Now that that's happening, we was talking about Livescope, side scan, all that good stuff has been. And I feel like it's been out for a little while now. And I'm seeing more and more YouTube videos on how to use that stuff, and they're doing a really good job. So more people are finding offshore fish. And I've listened to several podcasts about offshore and, deeper fish that haven't seen baits as much in the past. They're now seeing a lot of baits, and they're becoming more pressured. This is what I'm getting to. I think now that the scent factor and the color and just the overall presentation of your bait is going to be a bigger player than what it used to be. Back in the day, a fish that was in 25 foot of water didn't see baits all the time. But now, I think things are shifting. They're still not seeing as many baits as, bass that live a little bit more shallower are seeing, but they're seeing more. So now I think there is a bigger focus on the baits. And I think that's where you made a great point about the fish holding on to the bait a little bit longer. Or maybe it's just right there at its nose. It just needs a little something extra. The biggest thing for me the last few days, I've been, like I said, crappie fishing. And man, you can get on a massive school of crappie and drop a bait right there in front of their face, do all the techniques, make them, kind of play cat and mouse with it, or, just drop it straight down, all the different techniques. You cannot get those guys to bite, man. It's crazy. And so that's why I think you know, maybe scent is underrated. And I think it's going to become even more underrated. Go ahead.
Here's kind of a visualization I have in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You know when a bass initially sucks up the worm, and they can either do one of two things, like because they usually suck it up and they instantly pops out.
Yeah.
Or they can suck it up and then like it goes. They just do that one more little boom.
Yeah.
And then that's usually, you know, if you're a good worm fisherman,
yeah.
you'll usually feel two bumps, bump.
Right. Sure.
And that first bump is the bait being sucked into its mouth. And the second bump is it closing its mouth.
Yeah.
So a lot of days when you just feel one bump, it's just kind of like they're sucking it up and just like they just kind of spit it out.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel like scent's definitely gonna. I feel like sometimes they could like not taste what they want to taste, and it's just that spit out motion.
Yeah.
If you've ever just gotten bites and then the fish isn't on there, you know.
I agree. And like I was saying, I just think bait overall, the overall presentation is coming into play. Because I feel like there have been fish that, as long as you put a bait in front of them, they're going to eat it. And people were way too dialed in on the baits. Now, it's more about the bait. It's still not all about the bait, but it's more about the bait. So, yeah. And I definitely see what you're saying. Especially, I think of scent on a big worm. It's one of my favorite baits to put scent on because it takes them a little longer to eat it. It takes a little bit more commitment. And I feel like maybe if they feel that scent, and this is all just speculation because we're never probably ever going to know this. But I don't know. It just makes me feel a little better when I'm throwing a big worm. But anyway, I went underrated. You went overrated. You convinced me. There's a compelling argument there.
I convinced you so good that you flipped sides.
Yeah, and you stayed on the other
opposite side.
What happened with that?
It's not very good.
Okay, here we go. Underrated or overrated? We got about 2 more of these. Ned rigs. Get your take on it. I'm losing a lot here.
I'm gonna say I still think it's underrated.
Okay.
But like, does everybody throw them or no? Like, tell me that first.
I think most people know what a Ned rig is at this point, and I think they throw them.
Man, Ned rig's just so good.
They get
it's
bites.
Just so good.
Yeah.
That I'm telling you, like, if a Ned rig or a finesse worm doesn't get a bite, go home.
Yeah.
Like, that's my opinion.
Do you fish a drop shot a lot?
I have. Not a lot though, but it's a good bait. That's another good one.
Yeah. I use a drop shot more than a Ned rig. I feel like a drop shot you can get even more finesse with it than just a Ned rig. So I don't know, that's just my opinion. I have more confidence.
It also
in that.
depends on what type of water you're fishing.
That's true.
Drop shot, I feel like, is a deep water bait.
Yeah.
Ned rig, like, you can fish creeks, rivers.
You can.
Like a lot of more shallow water with it. You can fish deep as well. I prefer to fish really, really rocky areas with a Ned rig. I don't know how well a drop shot would work in like really rocky areas. I feel like it'd get kind of hung up.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit. You can kind of change your weight too to kind of help with that too. If you use the cylindrical type weights, they don't get hung up as bad. But but yeah, and a lot of people just use drop shots vertically. I throw them out horizontal. Like I'll throw them on a point or whatever, on the bank even. As long as there's not much wood around. But even Ned rigs, I lose a lot of fish on Ned rigs. And I've used a bunch of different heads. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I'm using...
use the Z-Man. The Z-Man heads always is what I use.
Yeah, and your landing ratio is pretty good?
Yeah, it's normally every hookup.
Really? Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's the equipment I'm using. Maybe I need to lighten up my rod a little bit. I don't know. But you said underrated?
I say underrated.
Okay. I don't throw an Ned rig a lot. And like I was saying, I have other finesse presentations that I just feel like is better for me. Maybe I should fish it more. But for what I use right now, I'm going to say overrated. Get this light back on here. I'm going to say they're overrated.
I just like how we're opposite on everything.
We are opposite. And we have not talked about this at all, by the way. We're just completely just running with this. We'll do one more, and we'll probably call it quits. I'm sitting in the dark here. We're
sitting at 25 minutes anyway, so.
Okay, cool. this is kind of a random one. I had 8 rigs up there. I feel like we would probably both say underrated. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's too easy. I'm gonna say fluorocarbon line. Just a random one. You know, some people's hardcore braid, some people's hardcore Yamana filament, and then of course you got your fluorocarbon right here in the middle, and it's more expensive usually. I don't know, braid gets kind of expensive too, but yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm a firm believer in fluoro.
Okay.
Now, I've switched to the point of I used to throw like all fluoro on all my setups, basically.
Yeah.
And the Dylan Grubb got me on the braid to fluoro leader. So now all my reels are like all braid with like a 10-foot fluorocarbon leader.
You know, I love that, and that's probably ideal, but I just hate retying leaders when you're out there on the water and you're just wanting to fish.
It's bad.
Freaking sucks.
But how often do you have to retie a leader? Like, it's very rare for me.
You know, I have to quite a bit, and that might come from like maybe our different type of fisheries. I have a lot of rock and stuff, so that might be. I don't know what kind of stuff you're fishing much, but so I'm fishing.
I don't know how that would mess up your leader.
Oh, rock and fluorocarbon do not mix at all. It gets frayed up easy, and
well, you just have to have a long enough leader, like to where the end of it gets frayed. You just retie your hook. You know, you'd be doing that if you had straight fluoro, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. And then you break off. What then? Usually break off at the knot, right? Like, how's that work?
I do not.
You don't?
I do a double uni and I never break my knot. Never.
Well,
I was very skeptical.
Once you do a how-to for me and send it over. That's what I used to. I use the double uni.
Usually, if you do the double uni on the braid where you're twisting the braid,
yeah,
I usually do it about 6 loops, cinch, and then when I go over to the fluoro, I'm only doing about 4 loops on the fluoro, cinch, and then you pull it tight. So that just a little bit more loops on the braid than you do on the fluoro. But I've never had an issue with mine breaking.
Yeah.
And also, maybe it could be, or like, do you have like sick eyes on your rods? Because you could have a certain type of eyes on your rod that could be messing with that leader. I watched a video a long time ago, and I probably should watch some other videos. And I never tie a leader like to get to my reel. I always do it right up to the first eye, because I've heard that was not good for your leader if you're not rubbing that first eye on your reel, on your rod. So I don't know, maybe I should explore a different way. If you're tying 10 footers, then it's obviously going in your reel. Yeah, I'll reel the leader all the way up through all the eyes and up on my reel sometimes. Okay, I'll tie them so long. Yeah, I usually do probably, I would say, what is that, probably a 6-foot leader. Yeah, maybe 6-7 foot leader is usually what I tie. But yeah, man, I fray those things up, and if I break off at the knot. Maybe my knot tying skills just suck. But anyway, you said underrated, correct? I said underrated. Okay, I'm gonna say it is also underrated. And my biggest thing is braid has no stretch. Monofilament has too much stretch. I just feel like it's right in the middle for like perfect stretch. And that's my biggest thing. Like I I ran braid on everything, and you know, I still caught a lot of fish and all that stuff, but it's mostly about the stretch for me. I like the whole invisibility factor, but it's the stretch at the end of the day. I wish I could throw it on top water. It doesn't work for top water, but I would definitely use it if so. But I think that's everything. That's pretty much all the ones I had on here. Pretty interesting segment. I enjoyed it. Yeah. So yeah, guys, we're trying to get back on track here. We were back on track, and then Marshall had a little hiccup with his camera and all that good stuff. So, you know, we're rolling. We're back to rolling now. Hopefully you guys can see the crisp quality in this camera if you guys are watching on YouTube. Yeah. So good quality now. Hopefully you can see the good quality right here with just the car light on me too. But I'm gonna close this out. I'm already in the middle of it. So, all right. If you guys have enjoyed this podcast, make sure to leave us a big juicy 5-star review over on Apple Podcast or
on Spotify. I believe you can do either one, or wherever you're listening. Give us a big, nice review. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a nice comment down in the comment section, and let us know what you would like to hear in future podcasts. We appreciate you guys for listening, watching, and if you haven't already checked out mine and Marshall's channels, they will be linked in the description. Go check them out. And am I missing anything, Marshall? I think that's it, isn't it? Okay. All right, guys. We will see you guys on the next one. Appreciate y'all for watching and listening.